That felt like a season-saving win for the Seattle Mariners. What is up? What is going on, everybody? Welcome back and welcome into the Seattle Mariners post-game recap. The Mariners defeat the Guardians today 4-2. They improved to 73 and 64 on the season. As always, before going any further, if you can like the video, it helps out tremendously. Comment your thoughts on the team and the game down below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're new or lurking. 45 subs away from that magic number of 5,000. Thank you to everybody for all your support for the channel. Just a huge swing game for the Mariners that it doesn't assure them of anything, but a loss here. I mean, honestly, if they lost this game, I wasn't even going to do a video. I was just going to leave it blank for a couple minutes and let you all vent in the comments because I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it the way they've been losing these games. And they find a way, they get it done. And I really do think for the time being, save this season for themselves and end up, with the smoke settles and the dust settles for this series in pretty good shape overall here. And this game, I mean, so big for so many reasons. Number one, the Mariners had lost 7 games in a row on the road, and they just needed to get off the schneid and find a way to get a road win, just to get the vibes back a little bit on the road and just to give themselves a little confidence that they can still win a game on the road. Number two, they just needed a win, right? In general, we're coming down the stretch here, 25 games to go. They're all magnified a little bit. Every game is going to feel almost like two to an extent, especially when you're in a race with other teams, right? Because, you're watching Cleveland, you're watching Texas, you're watching Kansas City, you're watching Houston. So it's almost like there's 5 games going on at once. So every result just feels so much bigger. So they needed a win for that reason. This game in and of itself almost has a 3-game swing to it. Had you lost this game, Cleveland is now 2 back in the wild card race with a chance to still get the tiebreaker based on division record. And they have a lot of division games left. So, Cleveland could have gotten hot, won a bunch of those, got the tiebreaker. And you would have been right there. I mean, 2 is something, but it's not a lot, right? A couple wins, couple losses, boom, you're even. Instead, the Mariners win this game. They're now 4 up on Cleveland, and they secure the tiebreaker. So Cleveland has to play 5 games better than the Mariners the rest of the way. 25 games left. Even if the Mariners went 12-13, which I hope they don't, because that's going to make this very dicey down the stretch. But even if they did, that means Cleveland would have to go 18-8. I don't know if Cleveland has 1 more game or 1 less game to go, but you know what I mean. They'd have to play 18-8 the rest of the way. That's an incredible winning percentage for a team that's, about 500-ish. So very unlikely that would happen. That's if the Mariners play a game under 500. Mariners go like 14-11 or something like that. I mean, Cleveland's got to go 19-7, 20-6. I mean, it's probably not going to happen. So, I mean, you almost essentially eliminated Cleveland with this game today from contention here. One of the teams chasing you. That's huge. Disappointed they lost the first 2 games. Certainly, you don't want to string a bunch of losing series together. But one good thing is where the Mariners are in position here is that, early in the year, it's all about winning series, right? You win 2 out of 3, win 3 out of 4. You just want to stack wins. Still want to do that. If the Mariners can win every series, they're going to be playing postseason baseball. But you can still salvage a series and feel okay. Like that plane ride to Tampa is going to feel pretty good for the Mariners, despite not playing great baseball in this series, because there's a lot of positives to take out of this, and you're in good shape. So the teams put themselves in a position, not excusing the last 2 games. I've gone off on them, so I'm not trying to say like, oh, it's not a big deal. But they've put themselves in a position where they can not slip up, but win a game in a series, just one, and it's still maybe be okay for them. They're still in a spot where they can just find a way when they're not playing good ball to sneak one in. They can still make some things happen here. Cleveland absolutely had to sweep you for their sake. We're not talking Mariners, for Cleveland's sake. They absolutely had to sweep you, and they couldn't get it done. And the Mariners get a huge, huge win today. And it looks like they're going to be 2 back in the division, pending Houston and the Angels. Looks like Texas is going to probably beat the A's. They're up 2-0 early. Texas is 2.5 back, but again, you have the tiebreaker, and they're without Simeon, Seager, and Evaldi. I think that's going to be tough, and their schedule next few weeks is pretty difficult. Who knows? Baseball teams can beat anybody. I think Kansas City's actually starting to falter a little bit too. I think they were losing 5-0 last I saw. So those teams aren't playing great baseball either. And if you can stay within, hey, I said get to September 2 back of Houston, right? I kind of said that in July. Now the Mariners got it tied in August at one point, so it's kind of disappointing. but it is right there for them still. It is, despite the frustrations. Everything is right there for them. If they were to go in and sweep Houston, they're in good shape to win the division. Will they do that? I don't know, but they're in position where they can do it, and still possibly win the American League West. Bryce Miller was really solid, and I'll continue to say I think Bryce Miller's looked a lot better since coming off the IL. Not perfect. I'm still nervous with Bryce Miller on the mound. He just hasn't fully earned that trust confidence back. I think most fans feel that way, but he was very solid today. The home run to Sheeman was not a great pitch, a hanger. But right after Kwan kind of loops an 85-mile-per-hour double down the line on an 0-2 pitch, then settles in, only gives up the 2 hits the rest of the way, and goes 6 innings for you, so it gives you some length. Starting pitching was actually pretty solid this series. Cleveland's offense outside of Ramirez, Kwan, Manzardo against righties is not great. That bottom of the order is really rough. But starting pitching was decent enough, right? Kirby was solid. You'd love to see Logan get through that 6th inning without giving up that home run to Manzardo. And then Miller really solid today, and that's been huge because they've needed it, right? Hancock was okay for a bit, then dropped off. Evans was, hit or miss. Bryce Miller was awful early in the season, no other way to put it. Maybe it was injury related, more than likely was. But if they can get Bryce down the stretch pitching more like this, it certainly helps out the rotation tremendously, especially with Castillo struggling the last few starts as well. Miller can kind of slide in and give them a little something. It's a chance for Bryce to salvage a bit of a lost season for him. So I think that's always a great thing in baseball and really, really cool. The Mariners get the 2 runs. We talked about the Mariners getting some, bad luck against them. The Mariners get a little bit of a break themselves, right? Julio kind of swings a ball 4 off the plate, but his speed beats it out on the ground ball. And then 2 runs score on that hit because it was 2 outs. So smart base running by Cole Young, smart send there by Christopher Negron. So really, really solid to see that from the Mariners there and getting a little break of their own. And I think Julio was safe on that. I mean, it was close. Had he been called out, I think it would have stood as out. But there was no way on that replay to determine if he was to change the call. There was nothing there to conclusively say he was out. That's what you're looking for in a replay. I know there was a couple calls in that at bat. I know the Cleveland dugout was not happy. Festa threw a pitch, I think 1 and 2 that was a strike. Here's the problem, though. And you guys know if you've watched me, I'm very consistent on this. If you miss your spot by that much, and Hedges was set up way outside, and it was a slider that kind of bit back inside, so Hedges has got to come up here to catch it, and the ump called the ball. Was it a strike? Yes, it was in the zone. Is that one that in the future, if we can challenge calls, will get overturned? It will. But when you miss a spot by that much, and I've said it for Mariners pitchers too, this is not something that I've been very consistent on this. If the same thing happened to Logan Gilbert, would I be frustrated? Of course, because the pitch is a strike. But when you miss your spot by that much, it's hard for an ump to see a catcher set here, move up here, and then to, call it a strike there. So it's also why pitchers, not just being in the zone is important, but also hitting the spots where the catches are set or coming close to that is super important for pitchers. And there was also a pitch earlier in that at-bat that was called a strike that was a ball. So, and I know Vogt was upset with one of the calls in the 9th, the Munoz one to Kwan. That was a strike. That was a perfect pitch, 98 bottom of the zone. That's absolutely a strike all day, every day. So that's a great pitch for Munoz. Randy gets the 2-run home run. Listen, still not a ton offensively. They do get 9 hits today. And they do get a good job loading up the bases there in the 7th. They had a couple leadoff hits and leadoff base runners that they didn't get around. So still not a great offensive day. Bybee pitched well. Cleveland's pitching was good this series. No doubt about that. It's a good bullpen as well. So, not a series you're expecting 14, 15 runs a game for sure. But, 4 kind of been a magic number. It's been a magic number for us for a long time, especially when the pitching's been dialed in and you got good pitching today. And 4 was able to hold up. You'd like to see more base runners and more cashing in there. But they were able to make the 2-run home run for Randy, I felt was huge. The talk will be the Julio base hit and, everything that happened around that. But that Randy 2-run home run, if this win was a season-saving win, that Randy 2-run home run was a season-saving at-bat. It would have been brutal if they were swept in this series. It would have been absolutely brutal. Again, nothing's clinched by winning this, but man, you do give yourself that bit of a sigh of relief. Bullpen was outstanding today, did not allow a base runner. Gabe Spire was absolutely dialed in. Matt Brash with a nice bounce back. And Munoz was really good in that 9th inning. Nothing dicey, no base runners. Tricky 9th inning too, because Stephen Kwan is a pest at the top of the order. Sheeman had the home run earlier in the game. Then you get a base runner on for Jose Ramirez and Manzardo behind him, and you could be in a little bit of trouble. And this has been a tough series. So great job by Munoz there to not allow the Guardians to even sniff tying that baseball game potentially there. So just really good to see the bullpen lock that down. Well pitched game for the Mariners. Very well pitched game. Now you go to Tampa, and funny enough, Tampa's very similar to Cleveland, actually. They're about 5-6 games out of it. They're in the same boat, right? They sweep you. And, now I was texting with my man Mariner Sir about it, and he brought it up. He's like, Cleveland's in the exact same spot, or Tampa's in the exact same spot as Cleveland. One win, you probably, completely kick them out of it. There's the dogs barking. It wouldn't be a video without it, would it? I swear, they don't bark all day. They really don't. Then I turn on the camera and they bark. So again, you're in that same boat. Now, I don't want to just get 1 out of 3. I want to start winning a series because one is not going to. Eventually, it will come back to bite you. But right now, you can at least afford it a little bit, right? It can make a series like this palatable, for lack of a better term. And listen, and I was frustrated yesterday. I was frustrated on Friday. So I never want to be like over here and then over here each video where it's like, Jay, man, pick a lane. The series wasn't that far off from the Mariners winning or sweeping it. They should have won Friday night. Yesterday was a fairly close game, and then win today, and that's a series win potentially. So as frustrating as it was, this wasn't the Phillies series where you just got blasted from start to finish. This was 3 tight games. 2 of them didn't go your way. Now, again, as I said yesterday, at the end of the season, they don't hand out awards for, hey, you were the first team out, but man, you got BABIP'd a lot. Here's your trophy. Enjoy it. You don't get that. So it doesn't matter. But, if once we win, or I don't like doing we, but screw it, we've probably given more blood, sweat, and tears to the Mariners than most of the players in some regards, if you know what I'm saying. For those of us that have been fans for a long, long time, we deserve the we. But, where was I even going with that? I don't even know where I was headed with that. I completely lost my train of thought. When you win a game, you can tend to look at things sometimes a little more logically. Losses are very emotional, especially now in September. Even for me, and I try to be very level-headed. In April, May, I usually am, unless you just bury yourself and you're like 10-23 or something. But it's hard in August, September. It is so hard, and especially for a team that just has a history. Now, when I say history, obviously like the 2006 Mariners have nothing to do with today's team or anything. But we're not used to it. So our brain is just automatically wired to go to worst case scenario as fans. And truthfully, had they lost this series, it would have been very bad. They wouldn't have been out of it by any means, but you would have just opened up an entire can of worms for the teams that are back in this. And Texas is a game and a half back. Then, Kansas City could have been a game back, and Houston could have gone 4 up on you. So it just would have been a disaster. And they avoid that, and they give themselves little deep breath, but now they've got to start stringing some stuff together, right? Like, can't just go, hey, they won this, it's all fine. Now you go and win tomorrow in Tampa, get 2 in a row here, get a little bit of a streak going. They at least make a statement here. What's great about the position the Mariners are in, not as much for the division, because that might take a little bit more, but for the playoffs, if the Mariners can just string together, and easier said than done, but if they can just string together like 5 out of 6 wins, they're probably in. Like if they go 4-1 over the next 5, that would put them at 77-65. You're probably at worst 4 games up on a playoff spot with how many games left? 20? That is a hard number to catch a team in 20 baseball games. That's the nice thing about the spots are if they can just do now, of course, if you go 2-18 and the next 20 after that won't matter. But assuming, you can play 500 after that, you're probably in. It's not going to take, again, winning 5 out of 6 is hard, and Tampa and Atlanta are talented, tough baseball teams. I'm not saying they're going to do that, but if you can just get one more little streak in there, I'm not talking 9 in a row. I'm not talking, if you do that, then you're in. Like, no one's going to catch you. I'm just talking like a nice little run here. A nice little run. They did a little bit on that homestand. They went 4-2, but then, you give it right back. Now you're 5-4 in the last time, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that number either, but that's more the 500 we're talking about. So just string that together and you're probably very close to a lock here to play postseason baseball. Will they do that though? Again, don't know. I think they're capable, but again, we talk about all the time with this team. They're just as capable of doing the exact opposite at times too. They are an enigma wrapped in another enigma, which would be not an enigma. Then I don't know. Let's get into the box score here, and then I'll go ahead and get out and let y'all enjoy your Sunday. Bryce Miller, 6 innings, 2 hits, 2 runs, both earned, 1 walk, 3 Ks. Really solid outing from Bryce Miller. And again, I think he's looked a lot better since coming off the IL. The command looks a lot better. The splitter seems to have more bite to it, and he's just controlling his fastball so much better. Again, the results haven't necessarily been there the previous 2 starts, but it ends up being there today for him. Throws 72 pitches, 47 for strikes. I thought Dan made the right call going to the bullpen. Don't push it. Bryce has just not been good this year, right? Like, not trying to contradict what I just said where he's pitched better, but you don't have that full trust, right? In him. And Gabe Spire against the lineup that's all lefties. Much rather see Gabe Spire. In fact, I was sitting there joking, can Spire go 3 innings today? Would that be possible? So I thought that was the right call. I think he could have made a case for Bizzardo in the 8th over Brash. Just didn't look great on Friday night. Bizzardo hasn't pitched in the series, but you do have Bizzardo now good to go tomorrow. And then Munoz locks it down in the 9th. I would think Munoz is good to go tomorrow. Shouldn't be any doubt there. Bizzardo should be fine. Spire might be down. But again, it's always hard to say too at this point in the season. We're in September. Guys may have to push it for 3 days in a row. You just may be at that point here where I don't want to say suck it up. That's not what I want to imply, because these guys are, I'm winded after watching a baseball game, so I'm not going to lecture people that are playing a game, but may need some guys going 3 days in a row here. We're kind of getting to that point. Offensively, the Mariners collect 9 hits. Like I said, 3 walks, just, left some on base, but found a way. Randy 1 for 5 with a 2-run home run. Cal 0 for 2 with a walk. Would really love to see one more Cal streak. You want to win those 5 out of 6, Cal hot streak would go a long way to doing that. Solid game for Julio, 2 for 4. Neither of the 2 were crushed, but found a way to get on base, used his speed, and a couple RBIs for Julio. Naylor was 1 for 4. Gino was 1 for 3 with a walk. It's funny. I felt like Gino had a really rough game, just in my mind, swung and missed at some hittable pitches and had some tough ABs, but was on base twice. Polanco was 0 for 4. Canzone was 1 for 4. Rayleigh came in defensively, which was the right call. JP and Cole Young actually much better today. I kind of got on them a little bit recently. JP was 2 for 4, and Cole Young was 1 for 3 with a walk. So they go a combined 3 for 7 with a walk. That's a solid day for those 2 at the bottom of the order. Not sexy, but a good job getting on base. And guess what? It led to some runs, right? And I think they both reached there in that 7th inning. That was Canzone singled. It was JP had a line out a little bit. It was a nice play by Manzardo. So that was a different inning where JP had his couple hits. But either way, really nice to see from the ball club. Let's check the standings or the scoreboard, I should say, one more time. The Angels are up 3-0 going bottom 9th. Texas is up 3-0 on the A's. And I'm going to assume Detroit beat Kansas City. They did. So you're 3 up on Kansas City. You're probably going to be 2.5 up on Texas. Houston, you'll be 2 back of. Houston plays Texas a bunch. You can look at that 2 ways. You could look at it as, no matter what, if, you can potentially gain a game on somebody. In reality, you'd love to be rooting for Texas there to win the division. Being guarded, you probably wouldn't care if Houston wanted to, listen, Texas winning those games is going to help your division odds. Houston winning is going to help your playoff odds. So, what the best thing the Mariners can do is win their games, and then someone's losing that game. It doesn't matter, right? If you win and Houston wins, then so be it. You're still a game or two back, and you have that series against them. So we'll worry about those chips falling when they fall. Remember to like, remember to comment, remember to subscribe. And as always, despite our frustrations, we still love them for some reason, don't we? Go Mariners.